Hello, boys and girls. This is freshly shaven Old Man Yells at Clouds coming to you from our Patreon, Blue Powder Monkeys. Here to do a little watch me work action. Since you're watching this, you're on our Patreon already, I would assume. And you have read a little bit about a short film script that we did called Cecilia. Cecilia was a short film that we were going to film. That's a lot of words for the film. Anyway, we were going to do Cecilia at a certain point, and stuff fell through, and we never got around to it. We did a whole bunch of pre-production stuff for it. So what I'm going to do for fun is turn that short script into a graphic novel, basically. And this Watch Me Work is going to have a little of that in it. So as you can see from... As you can see, I was kind of checking. I've set up my OBS so I can switch monitors back and forth for you. Probably not the most efficient way. I don't have like some little clicky doodad that I can do the thing. I have to kind of reach over there and turn the little eyeball on and off. So on our primary thing, we're going to be working in Clip Studio Paint. And then occasionally, or maybe more than occasionally, let's find out, we're going to be over here on Blender. And as I've mentioned in the text, Watch Me Works are not tutorials. Sometimes there are things that I do that I explain that you could learn from, similar to a tutorial, but I am in no way saying that I'm doing the things most efficiently or the quote-unquote right way. It's just me working. And that is especially true for Blender. I have tried to teach myself Blender off and on for probably 10 years. A lot of the basic stuff is basic, and I sort of get. But unfortunately, while there are a ton of Blender tutorials out there, they a lot of times work under a certain amount of assumed knowledge. Even the Blender Donut guy, whose Blenders are very helpful, works under big chunks of assumed knowledge sometimes. And Blender is definitely a program where you go down like a wrong rabbit hole and you're fucked, because you'll do something... and then like 15 actions later, it'll come back to bite you and you'll be like, how did that happen? And you just can't figure it out. For example, in Blender, just a couple of days ago, there were like some weird dotted line things going on that I didn't understand what the fuck was happening. And when I was trying to create a camera, for example, let's see if I can recreate that one. So this is a little building that I built. Little house for Cecilia, the outside of the set. I came down here. I finally figured out how to do walk. Let's see here. View. Yeah. View. Navigation. Walk navigation. Okay. So that means I can basically kind of like use these keys to go front and back, and then boink. Here we go. All right. So then, oh, shit. The other thing you can do is you can hit little N key. You're like, wait, is this a tutorial? It's not. Trust me. I'm trying to recreate an error that I'll show you. So these little location, rotation stuff. So let's zero out the Y. Let's zero out the Z. And see, it's already doing something down there in the. Yeah, it's already doing nonsense down here. Because I don't have this turned on. I'll just cut to the quick here because I've had to figure all of this shit out. This basically shows the little overlay stuff. And for whatever reason, even though I was in walk navigation, I highlighted some shit down here on accident. So let's try to unselect, deselect. All right. So now I guess in theory, nothing should be selected. And then I will create a camera right here. And I will do that by Shift, Control, Alt, number pad 0. And do I have a camera now? No, my camera's still right there. So, who fucking knows? And there's some weird fucking little thing having to do with that, whatever. So let's do this. Let's try deselect, view, cameras, align view. Align active camera to view. line. Oh, okay. That might have worked. Let's check it out here. Take off the roof on the hallway. Where's my camera? Oh, look at that. So amazingly, that worked. Sometimes it doesn't. But who knows why? And some people on Blender are very helpful with stuff, and they're awesome. But most of them aren't. To be perfectly frank, they are coming at it with a bunch of assumed knowledge, and they're coming at it with a type of I call it, I don't know if I have official words, system gatekeeping or whatever. The type of system, the version you have sometimes can be important. The system you have on occasion can be important, but a lot of these errors that are beginning errors that people run into are pretty basic stuff, and they've happened, and there's an argument to say like, oh, they should have searched the forums, and there absolutely is a lot of not searching forums and all the rest of that, but there's also a ton of unorganized shit to dig through as well. And here's the thing about searching through forums. You have to know the fucking terminology that power users use or that the program itself uses, basically. So then you get the guy that always comes in. This happens at Adobe a lot too. They're like, I'm going to need to know your exact fucking system type and specs for your thing, versions of the, and it's like, you know what? You don't. Like, there's a pretty big chance you don't, because there's a pretty big chance that what that person did was some sort of basic functionality shit that's been going on for 10 fucking versions of the program. And you could just be like, oh, yeah, you forgot to go into object mode. And you're like, oh, that's basic shit. They should learn that shit. You know what? People learn differently than other people. Some people are able to sit down and meticulously read instructions and kind of figure it out. Other people need to learn by doing. Other people, I'm kind of one of those. I'm not going to sit through, I'm not able to sit through, I guess, a 40-minute tutorial on how to animate a character when all I want to know is how to fucking build the bones in anticipation of rigging a thing. And then maybe later I'll rig the thing. But then sometimes you're not even telling me how to, it's like, oh, I kind of used the rigify thing, and now all these little arrows showed up. How do I manipulate those? Oh, I just grab them and move them around? Oh, I have to be in pose mode. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Anyway, this is all a pretty good rant that I haven't gone on in a while. There's just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people that don't know how to research to learn things, searching the forums, that kind of stuff. And then there's just a lot of fucking gatekeeping on the other side, to be honest. So it has been, Blender anyway, not great as far as me learning shit. Because again, it's the type of program that if you do something the wrong way, you're done for a little while. Like, you start the project over kind of shit, right? Because you like, I don't even know how to realign axes to zeros on objects, like chairs and whatnot. I can do that pretty easily in Illustrator. You just reset the bounding box and you're back to zeros or whatever. I have no fucking idea how to do it in Blender. So it's like, oh, I'm going to try to, I built this very complicated sort of spaceship set, or tried to build one for another screenplay to do a thing. And I somehow lost, the difference between global and local. Like, I don't know when to use that shit and how it matters. Like, a lot of this stuff, and Blender was designed, this is not me shitting on Blender. Blender's great. It's fucking free. It's super powerful. It's an awesome piece of software. It was not designed by people that understood how UI works. And they've tried to be better at it. But as you can look at my screen, this is nonsense. Like, all of this shit is just fucking nonsense. And I can't click on, oh, actually it worked that time. There's times where I click on a thing and it doesn't fucking highlight. That was happening all day yesterday, and now it is, and I don't know why. I don't know what the difference was, but I'm trying. You know, if I'm trying to find something or whatever, it's like. Anyway, I guess I can click on that. So yeah. Anyway, it's too much, but I like it. I'm using the program, so obviously I must like it. Render settings, all that nonsense. So back to the point of this thing, instead of being able to just sort of program in a very simple, I might have to, I'm figuring out whether this is going to infinity you guys or not on this thing. All right, so we'll leave it here for now. So let's switch gears. This is Clip Studio Paint. Clip Studio Paint is a comic book manga program that people use to do. It's kind of like Photoshop engineered for comic books specifically, but without some of the stuff Photoshop does. And then some of the stuff is different. Anyway, so I will show you a couple things on this that I know. So you can build templates for things. You go up, create a new document. You basically create the document, name it something like whatever template that you want, and then once the thing is created, let's do this. So let's say this is if you want to kind of do your comics in the same way each time. So what I'm setting up here is a template that has an image area 7.75, 3.24. This is basically 235 or 239. I can't remember. It's basically letterboxed format, right? You can kind of see it actually right here. Okay. So the idea is you have the width and height of the canvas as a whole. I'm going 600 DPI resolution. Weirdly, I'm working in RGB though, so the whole thing's going to be kind of fucked. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. I'm not using a template. All right. So that's basically trim sized, meaning that the entire artboard itself is going to be this size. And then there's going to be a line, a border for 10 by 5. And when you send it to the printer, in theory, that's the size they would trim it. And then this inner blue border right here, that's this width. All right. So, and then you can offset that. I could take this and kind of slide it, you know, off to the corner if I wanted to or whatever. So basically, you can kind of just set up your page however you want. And then you come over here and create story information and all that. I'll let you guys look all that stuff up if you want. It's not super important for what we're doing right now. Number of pages, I'm just going to do 1. Sometimes I'll put in 8, so you just kind of get a running start or whatever. And then you come down and you're like, bam, and there you go. Right, here's your document over here. I'm going to double click on this page and I'm going to open this page up. So now over here, well, let's say this is what I did for the Cecilia document that you'll see in a minute. I'll just recreate it for you. It's basically a generic letterbox thing. So I'm going to create, oh no, I just smacked the pen on the microphone, which probably wasn't cool. All right, so this is going to be my, I call it black ground because I'm going to make the background black. So I'm going to do this. All right, I'm going to drag. So like most graphics programs, you're dragging guides from the ruler here. Do that. I wish they had snapping. I think they do on version 4, but they don't on, this is like version 2, I want to say. So, I mean, for that matter, there you go. If you have a newer version, maybe this whole templating thing works different. I don't know. You wouldn't think they'd change something so easy, straightforward, but people like changing stuff. Kind of justifies their, feels like they justify their job or whatever. But anyway, I set up these little guides. I have snap to special rulers. I think it's snap to ruler actually. And then I'm going to grab this selection. I've chosen the rectangle one in the past. See how I just put it up there all nonsensical and it's snapping right to that stuff. There we go. And then I'm going to hit enter so that I don't accidentally, if I try to click it with the pen, it'll rotate it because it's all twitchy that way. All right. So then I'm going to shift control I to invert the selection. So now I have the outside of this selected. That's a pretty common shortcut key as well. I'm going to grab this paint bucket tool. I'm going to make sure the opacity is at 100 because it wasn't the last time I tried to do this, and that led to some pain in the assery. And then I've grabbed this black, though you can, oh, actually you can't see because it's on the other screen. Can I punch this over here a little bit? Nope. Can I do this? Nope. All right, so let's color wheel. I just grabbed the paint and I'm just moving it around. Let's color wheel here. All right. So as you can tell, this isn't the blackest of the black. Right? So I'm going to go down to the corner here to get the blackest of the black. At least you know what RGB does. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to go bam. All right. So now why I'm doing this is, one, I don't care about this trim area out here. Probably should, honestly. Doesn't really matter to me though, for the sake of this. I'm just doing that. So I'm creating my little background there. I'm turning off this. And then now when I have a layer underneath here, I can grab a pencil or whatever. Ooh, that is not very dark, is it? Let's do this. There we go. So now I can paint, and then, oh, look at that. I'm going behind that. So if I did that, it would look like that. But I'm using this as kind of a mat over the top of stuff so that I can do all my stuff within here. Anyway, so you'd set this up the way that you wanted it. Maybe you wanted to have a sketch layer. Boom. And then you wanted to have a finish layer. And then you wanted to have a color for your colors. Because a lot of times you'll put colors on a separate layer or layers so that you can manipulate them independently from the rest of the artwork. And the colors usually underneath the finish that way. So you can kind of set up your stuff like this, right? And then let's say you want to have a dialogue thing. So let me grab this little word balloon. Sorry, I don't have these out here more. I'm grabbing the eclipse balloon. I don't know. I mean, rounded balloon doesn't matter. I've changed it to a dark balloon, and I've done that. I did that previously because, again, this is the second time I'm kind of walking through this. So the original idea sorry, is to have with Cecilia. I'm going to have the word balloons gray because a lot of the imagery is going to be really dark, and I'm going to experiment with having them. I think the white circle, you can see how bright this is, right? I think the white circles are just too much. So I'm going to draw just a generic balloon right there for now. And then I'm going to just do like sample text for now. And my sample text is a comic book font that I got online somewhere, who's to say, and it's slightly off-white, still contrasty enough to be able to read, but not like bright, blindy bright or whatever. And there, right? So this is a setup. Now, here's the cool bit. You come up to, is it fucking edit? Yeah, register material, template. So, edit, register material, template. You click on that, boom. You get a pop-up window, oh, right in the middle of the thing, and you're now creating a template. Sample template, or yumplet, as the case may be. Boom. Then you come over here for your location, mango material, framing template, because this is a framing template, right? And then I'm not going to click OK, but that's what you would do. You would click OK, and then it would appear in your template area. Badoom, right? And let's show you here. There is material framing template. Here's your material. So you can come over here, view or window. It's window actually, sorry, my bad. And you can look down through here and there should be a material somewhere. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So you can click on that and make this menu appear, basically. I'm sure I've forgotten some steps because, again, when you're invested in the program, you sometimes forget basic knowledge shit that you pass along. But you can search stuff by keywords and all that. So as you saw there's like all materials, and then manga material, then framing template, and then boom, this is where my sample template would have appeared. I've already created the sample template and called it Cecilia, and that's here. So Cecilia is not the book that I'm working on. Cecilia is a template that I will be able to use. This Cecilia anyway, or the Cecilia I just drug off the page, is a template that I will be able to use for comics in the future. Any comic that I want to do in this style, I could change up the word balloon or whatever it is. And so let me show you this. Boom. Okay, so this is the first version of the graphic novel for Cecilia. First page, black. As you can see, I did not go with the 100% black on this background here. Instead now, this is darker, which tells the reader this is where stuff is happening. So, page 1, I wanted to do it like a movie, so we get a little production logo, it's a little Blue Powder Monkeys logo. For page 2, we do film stuff. We used to do, still do film stuff under Pulled Proc. So there's the Pulled Proc production logo. Another blank page. Cecilia. Title. I might move that somewhere, but for right now I like it. And then, boom. First panel that I think. And that gets back to the Blender thing, which I'll show you in a second. And then second and third. And so interestingly, let's just, I'll show you, I'll expand on this in Blender. These last two panels aren't just this first panel pushed in on, which sounds like that's kind of what you want to do if you wanted to save yourself some work. And that's also part of the reason that I did a Blender version of Cecilia's house. Why is this not, did I not get layers? Did I turn off layers? No, I turned on layers. See, it happens with this program as well. Shit just goes wrong, and you don't understand why. Huh. Weird. Okay. Just clicking on the thing, turn it back on, I guess. All right, there's color, finish, sketch, whatever. Black ground. Sketch. Cecilia. Okay. So, sorry, I was getting to the thing here. Scale? Is that scale? Yeah, there we go. They have this program, it has weird stuff. Operation. I don't know. Anyway, I'm more used to working with Photoshop, and it would be cool if they just had a button that's been like, change everything to Photoshop names. You could just do that, but all right. So if I was to take this and zoom in on it, then this would be 1. And then that would be about 2. And that would be about 3, right? And you're pushing in on this area. The effect is similar. But by doing it in Blender with a moving camera, it's working like an actual kind of film thing would work. So you're there. Now you're here and you're seeing more stuff. You're seeing like a little bit of a corner of a thing. And you're getting a little bit more of the room reveal. And now, oh, there's a lamp. And in the finished comic, there'll be a lady sleeping right here in this chair. And so that's a point of interest. So there you go. All right, now let's get over to Blender. And you get to look at the side of my face for a while I show you what's what. All right, so here we go. So I set that camera up, you remember, at the beginning. Hopefully I left that in. I had to do a couple of restarts on this thing, but oh, I was trying to recreate a thing and it didn't work. So I don't know if I leave that in or not, but I set a camera up, and I set the camera up by placing my view somewhere and then kind of doing this thing, which clicking on this works way better than Control-Alt number pad, which never seems to work for me. It might be because I pushed Shift in there on accident or something too. Let's try it actually. We're here to play around. All right, so that was middle mouse. Now I'm middle mousing in. There we go. So that's fine. Control, Alt, camera. Boom. See? Nothing. Now am I supposed to be over here? Oh, there we go. Right. So the camera view was what my view just was now. I kind of zoom in on this. I get rid of this little window here. Just get this out of the way of all the other little graphic-y stuff. I should be building out more of this, but it looks kind of silly. So I actually kind of start further in, but just for the sake of argument. So then I click the render button. And we sit here and we wait for a second. I may fast forward it. But what I learned with the render button is how like samples work and all these other things. So I have it set for 500 samples, which some people may think is a lot or a little. I have my output set at 1980. So I get this is my letterbox thing that'll match up over there. And then I got my noise threshold pretty low, but otherwise you get little grainy bits everywhere. And there's cycles, and I think that's it as far as that kind of stuff is concerned. Yeah, I'm sure there's some other settings that I did in there based on tutorials or something. So anyway, so there's the image that I could get and I could export out, and I have already exported out this thing, right? But what I'm going to do, so again, because I don't know the program like the back of my hand, there seems to be like a 50-step fucking process to just like export out a rendered thing like this, like a still or whatever. So this is reference. I'm not trying to build the project in Blender. I want to use this and I'm going to draw over the top of it, or potentially look around for, I know that you can render stuff out of Blender that looks like it's illustrated, and I think it has to do with materials. I think you have to get the right type of material on your object and then it does it, is what I'm pretty sure that happens. But for comic book reference, for what I'm doing over on this other monitor here, all I need is the old control print screen. And now I have my screens printed. So now I'm going to open up the old Photoshop. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. I should have already had this open, huh? And when you open up Photoshop after you've hit Control Print Screen, you will get this screen, and you will go New File, you'll do that. save it wherever you want, create. And there are my double monitors, basically. So now I just Control V, boom, and there is all of the stuff on both my monitors. And so what I would do is, let me tab over to here again. All right. All right. So walk, actually I don't even need to do walk navigation, honestly. Okay, all I need to do here is open up this location. Let's turn the rendering off here. All right, so, oh, yeah, see, here's another thing where it's affecting the floor for some reason, because I've accidentally clicked the floor. All right. When you're looking through, well, I don't know. I feel like when you're looking through the camera, I guess you need to be able to select stuff. All right, so let's do that. Oh, shit. Let's do this. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Okay, cool. So all that stuff's good. All right, so was it Y? Yes. So now, let's go like -28. Yoink. Now I'm zoomed in a little bit. I could theoretically pan up a little bit if I wanted. But for right now, you know, there's probably a way too that I need to look up to set up some sort of path right down the exact middle of this hallway. Attach the camera to it. There better be a way. You attach the camera to it and then restrict its movement along that path. Basically, you create a dolly. So I'm assuming there's a way to create a dolly in Blender. Otherwise, like, the fuck are you doing? All right, so there's probably a plug-in or something. So I've moved in. Let's move in a little further just for fun. Hello there again. To you, this will be all part of the same recording, but to me, obviously, it happened a little bit later as I've changed clothes and showered and done all that stuff. So this is kind of a Frankenstein together video. I had some issues with the first part of it, but I think I kept some of that. Most of the middle part was okay. And then I somehow, inexplicably, turned OBS off and didn't record the last 15 or 20 minutes of what I was doing. Didn't know it, finished it, and then was like, oh no. So I think I've got most of the groundwork laid. What I want to show you is how I'm going to import stuff into OBS for reference. I've talked about, I didn't go back through and review exactly what I talked about, so this might be covering some of the same ground, but I'm not using this as pure exports to just publish. I'm using it as exports to draw over the top of later. And that'll be a whole different video, a whole different process. But this is how it'll work. Basically, you're going to be breaking up the script, whatever script you're using, into specific scenes. This opening scene, basically, let me switch over here. Bonk. This opening scene starts at this hallway and then is a slow push in, move in basically, to the inside of the room. And then it will cut, and I'll set a camera up here, and there'll be a woman lying here, Cecilia, and there's a conversation between two nurses. There's one sleeping here I talked about. Another one, this slow push in that we'll do is kind of the point of view of the one that kind of walks in. They have a conversation, but that's later. So it's possible to do that conversation first because the camera's kind of right there, and then I can edit it, so to speak, later. I'm talking to the microphone again like I do. Anyway, as opposed to the camera. like I guess I should line them up so that I'm forced to kind of look over where the microphone is. But anyway, so I'm using this opportunity to add another little piece of detail for Blender in case you're curious about how Blender works. So Blender has an object mode where you can choose sort of like objects of things that you've created. And then you tab to go into edit mode. And edit mode allows you to grab specific things. Right now it's set on loop cut. I don't want to do a loop cut, so let's go up into here. And this is vertexes, edges, and faces. In a 3D object, in any object honestly, you have points, which are vertexes, and I find those by pressing the number 1. And then you're choosing little points like that. Say. And then for edges, which is number 2, you're grabbing lines like this. And in Blender, I'm not able to grab that line for some reason. Interesting. It just keeps grabbing that one. All right, cool. That's probably the way I constructed the thing. Blender has a lot of little weird stuff like that. So when you grab an edge, for example, then you can extrude with the E key, push a direction, and then just like do an edge pull kind of thing like that. And then 3 is faces, which are these things. Right. And again, for some reason, oh, that one chose. Oh, that's right. This is a different object. So earlier, and that explains why I couldn't grab the edge. Earlier, this hallway had been all a part of the house, but I needed to remove walls and windows or walls and roofs for various walls and roofs for various things. So I created independent objects. This is a wall. This is the other wall, and that's the roof. And then over here, you can see roof hallway. Hallway left, hallway right. And why I would do that, for example, is I needed to work on these picture frames over here. So I wanted to work on them through the wall kind of thing. So what I realized is I also need to make the end of this thing its own deal. Let's see, I'm going to attach the real roof back on. There we go. And it doesn't have to look like a roof on a house, obviously, because we're not going outside the house. We're just going inside the house, so I just need a sunblock, basically, or a light block to go in and all that. So I'm going to choose the house. I'm going to go into edit mode, and then I'm going to grab this face. And then when I grab this face, I'm going to do something that I have forgotten how to do. S, I think? Nope, that's scale. P. Yes. And P is separate. And I'm going to separate by selection. And now this is its own object. It became house 001 because Blender. Anyway, so I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go hallway, end. And now it's alphabetized with the rest of this stuff. Now I can turn this off, and I can get down into here and go back into my object mode. I can grab this camera, open up with N, and see that that's the back and forth this direction. Z is the height, which I'm fine with the height. And X is this way and that way, basically. And in a perfect world, let me try something here. Let's see, edge loop. What I want to try to make is sort of a dolly or some sort of reference that I can follow, which is going to be that. There we go. Oop. Let's see here. Grab X. Nope. I should be able to grab this edge loop. There we go. And I want it to snap to this other edge loop, so I'm going to go up here and turn on snapping. And I already have snapping. You have all these decisions. I already have it on edge. So I'll do this. Bonk. And now when I grab it, I can just go to do that, and it lines up perfectly. All right. So now I'll grab this camera. Go back to object mode. Will I go back to object mode? Oh, nope. I have to do that. Get out of the thing I was doing. Grab the camera. And then I think I can align the camera maybe? Let's try it. Grab X. Yeah. So it's grabbing that line that I put there. So it is now, in theory, perfectly aligned. What's not aligned is this light. So I can grab X, and now it is aligned as well. So it's in the exact center of the hallway. So that's pretty cool. And then I grab that, and I can do this kind of deal, right? And then in order to see through the camera, it's number pad 0. And now, there I am. So I might have talked about this again a little bit earlier. I don't know. Let's start at like minus 35 feet. There we go. Let's see what this looks like real quick, rendered. So that's not too bad. You can't really see the walls where the pictures run out, so that's fine. You can see the pictures in here. What I talked about before, and I'll talk about it again, so sorry if I'm going over the same stuff, is you have the opportunity to kind of load your thing in here and then just scale it, right? I could do it at 100%, and then I could do it like 110%, and it would look like it's moving in to the image, but that's different than the camera actually moving, because the camera is going to reveal more stuff in the background. You're going to get a wider picture of a thing. For example, there's those 2 chairs right around the corner, and there'll be a lady sleeping in the chair, which is kind of the reveal that I want to do right off the bat here. I'm not excited about my 3D okay, there we go. All right, so I can do this, and what I discovered is I don't need, I talked about this before again. Sorry, I'm covering the same ground. I'm just not sure how this is going to edit together right now. Blender has a whole process for just exporting a frame of a thing, and I don't want to deal with that. Because it's reference. So what I'm going to do is control screen print, except for my big mouse pointer here. All right, so let's try it again. So now I've just done a screen capture of both my monitors, essentially. And then I can go over to Photoshop. I'll get rid of all this other stuff that I did that you didn't get to see. Yoink. Actually, I'll get rid of this whole document. No. Okay. So now, new file, and the new file automatically retains whatever's on your clipboard size-wise. So it's already set up for both my monitors, you can see here. So it's pretty big. It's at 72, but that doesn't matter either, because I'll be drawing it at 600 DPI as I showed earlier. All right, Cecilia reference scene 1. There we go. All right. Bonk. And now control paste, and there's that shot. Now I bot back over to here, and I open up my camera, and I go, let's go minus 27. Mark. And that's arbitrary. You just have to figure that out on your own, thing. Close this, control, screenshot, Photoshop, control paste. Now we have 2 layers, one of each. Blender, N, let's go 15. That's too far. Let's go 19. There we go. That's not bad. All right. Let that, and I theoretically should be watching to make sure that it like renders all the way up here. So let's go ahead and just do that. That way it'll be as clear as possible. I'll get rid of a little line going down the middle here. And everything looks good. Everything looks copacetic. I don't know what this little layer 1 thing is over here. Some weird little artifact from probably from Photoshop, I'm guessing. But this is no big deal because I just won't draw it. Control, and I'm not moving the view or anything. So when I go Control Screen Print back over to Photoshop, they're lined up, and you can already tell from these little images how everything is kind of looking a little better as it sort of pans forward. There's 3. And then the last one will be the introduction to the room, which I believe I'd already figured out was minus 13. Yeah. So we get a little teensy bit of the wall on either side. And actually, well, actually, that's too far because there's no wall. We need that visual connection to the two scenes. Wall on the left, not really wall on the right. So let's go minus 12.5. There, perfect. Now I still have the little sort of framing devices in there. Shut this down. We see a little bit of Cecilia's bed there, which is good. I can add a little bit of blanket if I want. We see this other light source over here, so we've sort of introduced that. I move the stuff off to the side. Control print. Bonk. Oops. Bonk. Zap. All right. Now, we turn these off, except for this initial one. You can do this in any order. And we crop it. So we do kind of a rough crop first. To here. And then we zoom in. You guys may be able to see all these little lines on here, but I can't. And then, all right, so that one looks fine. This one actually kind of looks fine, but we'll crop it a little further. We'll go up to there on this. And these little lines are already set up to basically be, I set up a camera, I'm using an Ari Alexa preset, but it basically gives me the super letterboxed 1:2.35, which is kind of cinema for anamorphic stuff and for widescreen stuff and all that. You can look up aspect ratios. It's a whole fucking wormhole. All right, so now all of these things have been cropped, and because I exported them out exactly without moving anything, they do that. So I go back to here, I save. Bonk. And then I come in here and I find my first panel. I have my paper palette highlighted. It's going to add a layer above whatever I have highlighted. And I want that because I'm using my background, if you remember, as a template over the top of it, or like a crop, basically. So now we go import image. We grab Cecilia reference scene 1. We do that. And then we expand. And we look for those little lines that you can see like right there. Oop. And we try to line those up with the little guides that I have as well as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. But with me, sometimes it does have to be perfect. My eyes get a little gluey at night. My little old guy eyes. There we go. I never had really good vision. I've always worn contacts and stuff, but now I'm kind of to the reading glasses phase. My contacts usually made everything pretty well. And now I look down here and I see that my scale ratio is at 172. So now we're good. That's the first panel. Now we go to this panel. Oh, I did that on the other thing and you didn't see. All right, cool. So let's try it for real this time. So we turn on the second layer. There we go. We save it. So now the second layer is what's on here. And then I turn on my Cintiq so you guys can see. And we go import image, scene 1. Boom. And now I can come down here because you remember me saying that these scale ratios right here were 172. So I just do 172, copy. Oh, but it's already locked. So boom. So this one is set up just like the other one. Line slightly off, but basically same scale, right? I'll save this because get in the habit of saving things. I'll move us back over to here. I'll turn on this third layer. I'll save it. Saving's important because that puts this layer on top in the new file. Then we'll come back over. We will import image, Celia scene 1, donk. Oops. We'll choose the next page. Then we will go there, import image, scene, bonk. Come down here. Now I can just paste. Yep. Done. Save. Switch back over. Turn on the last layer. Save. Switch it back over. Come back over here. Find the next page. File. Image. Scene 1. Dunk. Dunk. All right. So now, if we were to read the comic, and Clip Studio Pro doesn't have like a super easy way to read comics, which is kind of interesting to me. I think it's, yeah, see, it's not even giving me an option to do page by page kind of stuff. So yeah, we won't try to figure that out on the fly here. But now we can go here, and these will be slightly off, so I apologize for the little jump on it. So that'll be, we'll have the Cecilia, and then you turn the page to that, and then that jumped in. Let's see if I can move these so that they're slightly not quite so jarring. I think that was right about there. Yeah. So we got here, we go in here, we got here, 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 and here, 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 here. Nice. And there we go. There's the first 4 pages. And so when I get into the editing and drawing part of it, what I already can tell what I'll have to figure out is whether this and this is a big enough jump. It may be that we just do this to that to that, because that feels a little more dynamic. This one feels a little bit, nothing's really happening or changing or whatever, right? So more than likely this page will go away. And so we'll do that, that, and that. And then I'll just end up having to redraw all this stuff by hand if I don't figure out the export way from Blender to have it export kind of, or have it render basically and look like comic book lines and that kind of thing. So that is the end of our tale. Thank you so much for being a Patreon and watching this video. Sorry again about the choppy editing in this one. I will do better next time, I promise. And again, thanks for your support, and we'll see you again.